Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our Wednesday encouragement today. Have a question for you. Who's the most famous person you've ever met? Think about that for a moment, and I'll tell you about a couple who met one of the most famous people in the world and had no idea. But really quickly, I want to let you know about some of the things that are coming up here very soon at Cherry Avenue Christian Church. Next Tuesday, September 20th, our seniors Bible study is going to resume. Now, because of COVID, we had to move it online for a while, but it's returning on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. in the fellowship hall. And so anyone who is available on Tuesday morning would like to join us, we're glad to have you. We're going to pick up roughly where we left off at the end of the Gospels and the beginning of the church, and we would love to have you come and be a part of our study beginning Tuesday, September 20th at 10 a.m. And I need to correct something I may have said wrongly. I may have said in one of our videos that our combined children and youth tie-dye event was this Sunday, but it's actually next Sunday, September 25th. We're going to invite the younger people to youth group, and we're going to have lunch and some fun making tie-dye shirts and other things. So I hope you'll include your kids for that on September 25th after the worship service. And again, I apologize if I accidentally said the wrong date for that, but that's Sunday the 25th. Ladies, the Fall Women of Worth Retreat at Blessings Lodge is coming up October 14th and 15th. The $70 registration includes your meals, activities, lodging, and there are registration forms at the information desk, or if you'd like us to email a registration form to you, we can do that. Just call the office or email me, and we'll be glad to send you one. But make sure to register by October 1st. And Crab Walk is back with its walk to help those struggling with hunger issues. And Cherry Avenue is providing a rest stop, as we've done for many years. We'll provide snacks and drinks, as well as an opportunity to just stop and take a break along the way. We're going to be collecting prepackaged snacks, packs of cookies and crackers, individually wrapped snacks, such as the Hostess or Little Debbie kind, as well as fruit. And we could use your help with that. When you're out shopping, if you would grab a package and bring it to the church, we'll have a donation basket where we'll be collecting those as you bring them. We also need volunteers to help serve for a couple of hours. And if you would be willing to help with that, please call or email me and let me know, because we could use your help on that. We'd be glad to have you with us. And mark your calendars for Saturday, October 22nd. We're going to have our annual Fall Festival. This has been a great opportunity to reach out to our community and get to know our neighbors a little bit better, and we're really looking forward to it. So make plans to be here Saturday afternoon, October 22nd. We had our biggest one ever last year, and we're really looking forward to it this year. There's a lot happening this fall, and I hope you'll join us for as much as you possibly can. Well, like most of you, I'm an American, born and raised. What's more, I'm an American with a streak of Murican in me. Now, I could never rock a mullet, even if I wanted to. But I got a streak of that, don't tell me I can't do something, I'm American attitude. So if I want to put tank tracks on my minivan or make my hybrid a four-wheel drive, I can do that because I'm American. And that's the ingenuity that's born of freedom, and probably about a keg of beer in those cases. But I mean, in what other country could they possibly come up with a bowl of chicken and fries with a straw through it to drink your soda? There's a reason why we were the first people on the moon. But as American as I am, I admit I'm also an Anglophile. I like reading about British history, and I've always been fascinated by the Brits' desire to cling to the idea of a monarchy, even as their government has evolved and become more of a democracy. Plus, Queen Elizabeth had been on the throne for almost 2 decades by the time I was born, and she's been the queen my entire life, until last week. There's a story I heard years ago that's resurfaced since her death, and I think it's kind of endeared me to her. About 15 or 16 years ago, she was at her holiday home, Balmoral Castle in Scotland, and she went out for a casual picnic nearby, accompanied by her bodyguard, Richard Griffin. While on the picnic, she met a couple of American tourists, and as was her habit, she made it a point to say hello to them. And the Americans didn't recognize her, had no clue who she was. And they started talking to her and asked her if she lived there, and she said, "Well, I live in London, but I have a holiday home just over the hill." And one of the Americans asked her how long she had been coming to the area, and the Queen said, "Oh, ever since I was a little girl, over 80 years. Well, the Americans kind of looked at each other, and one of them finally said, "Well, if you've been coming up here for that many years, you must have met the Queen, haven't you?" The Queen smiled and, without missing a beat, gestured over to Griffin and said, "Well, I haven't, but Dickie here meets her regularly." Well, the Americans were excited about that, and they asked him what the Queen was like. And the bodyguard, with a bit of a mischievous grin, said, "Well, she can be very cantankerous at times, but she's got a lovely sense of humor." Well, the Americans figured that was as close as they were probably ever going to get to the Queen. So they put their arm around Griffin, handed their camera to the Queen, and asked her to take a picture of them with the man who's met the Queen, which she happily did. And then, almost as a gesture of politeness so as to not exclude her, they asked to get a picture with her, and the bodyguard cheerfully snapped a photo of them with the Queen. After the Americans had gone on their way, the Queen smiled and told Griffin, "I'd love to be a fly on the wall when he shows those photographs to friends in America. Hopefully someone tells him who I am." Beyond the sense of humor that incident shows, which is great, I think what I love most about that story is the Queen's humility. This is a woman who grew up being treated special, being treated as if she's above others. That's the nature of royalty. All her life, people have bowed to her, deferred to her, and treated her as if the family she was born into somehow put her above everyone else. And yet, in that moment, she chose to act with humility and make her bodyguard, her servant, the star. I think what sticks out about that incident so much to me is that most of us don't require much to cause our pride and our ego to swell our hat size from 7¼ to 15 in a hurry. The idea of deferring to someone else and not tooting our own horn isn't the default option for most people. It's certainly not for me. Jesus said, "He who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted." Not only did God set the example for humility by having Jesus born to a peasant couple in the simplest of settings, announcing his birth to shepherds, one of the most lowly groups in Israel, but there were a number of times in his ministry that Jesus emphasized the importance of humility, not only because it was a trait he demonstrated regularly, despite the fact that he was God in the flesh, but because humility is a key to healthy relationships. Humility puts the needs of other people first. Humility doesn't jump to conclusions. Humility gives people the benefit of the doubt. Humility is the glue that holds relationships together. It keeps us from developing a self-centered worldview that destroys our relationships with God and each other. And that's why Scripture emphasizes it so much. I mean, if the creator of the universe chose a life of humility, how can any of us, even a queen, do any less? There will be a lot of pomp and circumstance this weekend at the Queen's funeral, with countless speeches and stories. But I think the image that will always stick with me is of her taking a picture of a couple of Americans who wanted a photo with a guy who had met the Queen.